second's going to be a cash out refinance. So quick scenario on that. If I own a $500,000 house and my mortgage balance is $300,000, I can go up to 80% loan to value, which I will explain a little bit more in a bit. So I can get up to a $400,000 loan and I can get $100,000 cash out. That's the equity that I've built up through owning the home and paying my mortgage payments, and the appreciation. That's what I'm getting that I can borrow against. And that allows you to leverage it for other uses, for home improvements, debt consolidation that we already talked about, or maybe a big purchase. Those are some options you can utilize this for. Last two things, I already talked about closing costs. A lot of people try to incorporate the closing costs into a refinance so that they're not paying anything out of pocket, especially if you're doing a cash out refinance. People try to do that as much as they can because they're usually strapped for cash. And it's a really good way to take advantage of the equity and not pay anything. Last thing on here is, when would a refinance not be right for you? So Walker, we already talked a little bit about on the last slide, just real quick.
Talking about rate and that kind of stuff for not being the best time. But other scenarios where doing that cash out refi might not be the best choice for you is if you're planning on moving or selling soon. It might just, because your mortgage payout is going to be less when you do sell, which, depending on the situation, either you need the cash now or you need it later. But typically, you don't want to pay the extra cost of closing a second time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if I was buying a house, or if I owned a house for a couple of years, let's say 3 years, and I said, okay, well, rates have come down. If I'm not planning on either renting that house out and keeping it, why would I refinance the house at a lower rate if I'm planning on selling in the next, 12 to 6 months,
right?
Unless I'm planning on keeping it, then it could be a benefit. Otherwise, if I'm planning on moving away, I'm having to pay off that mortgage, and it could be more, and I'm making more payment. I might be making a higher payment, it's just going to depend. But I would say if you're not planning on moving or selling in the near future, it's a great option. But if you are, try and take advantage of the equity that, upon the sale of your house, and not have to borrow against it, because that's not usually very wise, in my opinion.
Alrighty.